Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Wings Podcast. Today, we have with us Rohan Desai, who currently lives in a small rural village in Himachal Pradesh, a small village called Bir, a part of the Dhauladhar range in northern India. Uh, Welcome to the show, Rohan.
Hi guys, good day.
How are you and what's up? How is the weather there today?
I feel really blessed that there is so much beautiful sunshine all day. It's been, I think, a week of cloudy, rainy, snowy weather,
Mhm.
but that too is a blessing. It's better than a long dry winter. Long dry winters are way harder
Mhm.
to deal with than these kind of snowy, beautiful white winters, where it's like a winter wonderland around. And it really makes us appreciate these kind of sunny days. If the sun is there all the time, it's like, oh, winter sun is harsh in the afternoon. But after a week of rain and snow, winter sun is a blessing regardless.
Rohan, let me tell you right now, I'm a bit envious and jealous of you in terms of where you are right now. But tell us, what is Bir? Tell us a little bit about the town. Where is it located, and
So,
how long have you been living there?
so I came to Beer in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came here because a couple of friends dragged me. I was 2017-18 were really rough for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was dark. Like 2018 was a dark year. It was tough for me to see light. And then some of my friends, close ones that are paragliders themselves, were like, "Chal, dude, we'll take you to Himachal, go to Beer, do some paragliding, just unwind." I
Mm-hmm.
came here for 5 days, ended up doing the course, ended up staying 2 months. And after a very long time in my life, when I came to be, I still remember that feeling. I lived in this tiny room that had nothing other than a bed.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I would wake up before my alarm, like excited, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of excitement. I will never forget that feeling of excitement. Uh, when I did my course, when I did my paragliding course, I didn't even come to do a course. I came to just, be in the outdoors again, get away from the city. And somehow I did a paragliding course and my first flight. Oh, I can remember the car ride up to the
Mm-hmm.
takeoff. I can remember where everyone was sitting, what was said, my hands trembling while I was trying to put my harness on, my instructor coming in, putting my harness and attaching the glider for me, telling me, "It's okay, just remember what we learned in the class." And that first flight really changed a lot for me. It
And and how long was that flight in the air when you were doing the paragliding for the
The
first
first
time?
flight was about 15 minutes, a little less than 15 minutes. So I was in the air for about a little less than 15 minutes. I had instructors with me on the radio. Pretty much, I couldn't even think, to be honest. And
So
their voice was so calming.
and
I,
in
I, I, I I remember that feeling very clearly too. Their voice was very calming.
So in those 15 minutes, as you were up in the air, gliding over the winds, uh, did you did you think that this place where you have come for just a 5 day of fun would end up being a 2 year of stay and maybe even longer?
Uh, Nothing. At that time, it was just more of like a wow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm flying. Wow, everything seemed really wow. uh, it was more like more than the feeling of me knowing that I'm going to live here forever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a feeling that I didn't want to leave. I never want to leave this place.
Okay.
uh, it's like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened, how that transition happened, honestly, it doesn't matter. it
Mm-hmm.
I came back in 2018 December.
Mm-hmm.
2019 January, I got my dog Rollo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, an entire new adventure was waiting for me. Life was going to change very drastically. In May 2019, I had already leased a piece of land to build a house for me and Rolo, make a small restaurant because I don't know, my mother likes cooking and I picked up cooking and I have very good taste in food, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
people like my food.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So,
and yeah, so I made this restaurant and it was like a really quick switch. Most people thought I was crazy. Like
mm-hmm.
my friends, when I told them that I wanted to leave, every person thought I was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person in my life told me, don't do this. Think about what you're doing. How will you earn money? What will you do? And honestly, I didn't have an answer to anyone. So I just got up and left. It wasn't, I mean, I was going through this divorce. So many people thought I was running away from my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that feeling of waking up in the morning excited, uh, never like, oh man, another same day. It's never that. Even today, 3 years later, I can
Okay.
wake up. The weather can be horrible. It can be raining, and I'm still happy with everything that is happening. Because I live in this small little mud house now. From that massive mansion that I grew up in, I
Yes.
live in a mud house with 2 bedrooms and a kitchen and external toilets. So literally every morning when I need to pee, I have to climb out of my little door, climb downstairs, and go to a bathroom that is about 30 feet from the house.
So walk us through, Rohan,
And
of a typical day in your life. What happens since the time you wake up, and how does the day pass?
well, well, now it's a lot different. I this 2021 has been a blessing. I'm so grateful. Thank you, universe,
Mm-hmm.
for giving me the ability to live the day I'm about to describe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wake up, I look at the sky, see what the clouds are saying, see what the wind is saying. Usually before sunrise, I'm up before sunrise. Um, and as I told you, I have to exit my room, go outside my house
Yes.
uh, to use the bathroom.
Yes.
So it's a very different, serene feeling. It's silence. It's actually not silence. Sorry, I take that back. It's not silence. You hear the streams. I have 2 streams on my property, and you can hear this flowing water and literally maybe 30 species of birds just saying good morning to each other and like giving you this big warm hug.
Mm-hmm.
So my day starts very peacefully. And then I go for a nice long walk with my dog, Rolo.
Mm-hmm.
Probably sometimes in the forest, depending on the weather, sometimes just on the road to the landing to say hi to all the people that are paragliding as the sun rises.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I have a restaurant and I have 4 cottages in this place called Rollos Retreat in Beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually have some guests that have breakfast or want to do yoga or some breath work in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the rest of the day is pretty much what I want to do, which involves farming, paragliding, cooking, baking, just playing. Like today, honestly, I'll say it again. I just rolled around in the grass for like 3 hours in the sun because it felt so good. It felt so good to be in the sun, and it felt so good to actually lie in the grass because the last week it was raining and I hadn't touched the soil. And it actually started honestly with you telling me, like, Rohan, could you kneel down and just kiss the floor? And at that time, I was on the grass and I kissed the floor. And since then, I was just rolling around in the grass for like 2 hours. Rolo, me, and this girl, Avovi, my partner, have just, yeah, chilled in the grass, sitting, basking in the sun,
So
enjoying the glorious blue sky.
would it be fair to say that it's a feeling of being in paradise? That's because that's how it sounds.
Uh, Yes and no. I mean,
Okay.
I agree with the emotion that you have spoken about, but
Hmm.
paradise is in the mind.
Yes.
For different people, paradise is a different thing.
Hmm.
Honestly, um, my entire life can be viewed as one that is so blessed
Hmm.
that could have been a paradise for most of the population of this planet. And somehow I was fighting with myself. And paradise for me meant a farm. So if paradise for someone else means a farm, they should be living on a farm and not in the city. Uh,
So what were you fighting
Many
with?
people, myself,
Can you say more?
myself.
Can you say more?
Um, so now, I mean, I had a crazy life because as a kid in school, I used to go to the jungle. I loved going for these eco camps and adventure camps.
Hmm.
And I was blessed enough to have parents that could afford it and were willing to send me to the jungle,
Hmm.
which was amazing. Uh, I got into photography. I went to very good schools. I was really well educated. I dropped out of college. Uh,
You went to the US to study, right?
I went to the US to study. I dropped out of college.
Hmm.
Uh, I went to the US actually because of photography, and then I ended up going to college for economics and statistics, which I dropped out from.
Hmm.
Uh, these things happen. You can't explain why these things happen, but
Hmm.
they happen. Because honestly, I studied about Bollinger curves and certain standard deviations and statistical probabilities
Hmm.
that I never touched since I was at the University of Connecticut. And
Hmm.
today I invest in cryptos and I remember all these charts and I know how to read a chart and a graph only because of those times. And honestly, I would have not expected blockchain and cryptocurrency to get economics and statistics back into my life, especially when I've moved away from the city and all that is capitalistic to come to a really rural, rustic environment that I find home.
So,
So
so
yeah, I
here
was
you.
fighting myself.
Hmm.
I was fighting myself, but I didn't have to. I didn't realize it. The process of realization was heavy and dark at times. But still, even today, when I look back at those dark times, I was so blessed. There were blessings, countless blessings in my life, always all around.
Can
Uh,
you walk us through that darkness if it is okay with you? Because that will help us and the listeners understand what you're actually trying to say here.
yeah. Now, I dropped out of economics and I came back. I started doing photography
Hmm.
because wake up Sid kind of happened in life.
Hmm.
And even though that wake up Sid moment happened, it wasn't that I was just testing the water throughout. I was
Hmm.
trying these different things. I started a shoe business. I kept on trying things, but I
Hmm.
never just jumped into the pool. I never took that leap of faith. I
Hmm.
never jumped so that to see whether I could fly. Yeah.
What were you afraid
And
of?
I did good.
What were you
I
afraid of?
honestly, there wasn't any fear.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say fear. Uh, we have this inner voice.
Hmm.
Yeah, we all do. And an inner voice sometimes tells you to do certain things that somehow get you into a fix. Like in your heart of hearts, you did something for the right reasons,
Hmm.
but achieved the worst result. Yeah,
Okay.
a result that you never wanted. Yeah, but you still did it, and then you had to get over this horrible result and still have faith in the fact that you tried. And this happened a lot. This happened so much that um, it started getting frustrating. And the frustration turned into hatred, hatred at failing, hatred at not being able to get this right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I came here and I realized that, man, it was never about getting it right. I was not happy doing the things I was doing. So I was never going to get them. It was never, it would always seem fake. It would
Mm-hmm.
never seem genuine the way I wanted it to feel. And today, when I do something that truly, as I said earlier also, that truly makes me want to wake up, and I wake up excited, and I wake up before sunrise. I want to go to sleep at a certain hour, which is about 10:30. My restaurant shuts at 10. By 10:30, we're packed up. By 11, I'm in bed. Yeah. And yeah, most nights I'm so excited to get into bed also because I've had such an eventful day that I'm a little physically tired and it's time to take a nap. Rolo also looks at me as if like, bro, now come on, now tomorrow is another day. You have to wake up before sunrise. And
So,
this
so
natural cycle, I mean, even if I thought of the times before Beer, where I loved wildlife and I loved photography, and there was an alignment in me to this sunrise and sunset, this golden hour.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And paragliding too has a lot to do with the sun. Wind doesn't happen without the sun. Wind happens because of uneven heating of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And sunrise is a very critical hour. So everyone is super excited at sunrise to see how the day is going to go. Being in connection to nature is a very big one for me. Uh,
So this life
it's
in
possible
beer,
in the city.
yeah, the life in beer that has happened to you, let's say since 2018 onwards, is something which, did you ever dream of it, or it has just happened to you?
It just, to be honest, it just happened. Uh, as a kid, I always wanted to be in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I kind of felt like I can even be a forest guard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And today, somehow, I live right next to a forest. So is it full circle? Or did it just happen? Who knows? Was it my destiny? Is there anything like destiny? Who knows? I mean, I believe there is destiny. I was always meant to be next to a jungle. In fact, I might even go further into the jungle in the coming years. Who knows? But it just happens. Um, how did that 5 days in Beer become 60 days of learning paragliding, buying my own equipment, and then going back to Pune from Beer, and then spending 1 month chaotically in Pune, then going to Kamshet, flying some more in Kamshet, and then eventually ending up in Beer again, and then moving to Beer? How did paragliding become something so comforting to someone who actually didn't like heights that much?
So there was this
In
yeah.
Kunal and me, actually, Kunal is the more adventurous one.
Kunal is your brother,
Kunal
right?
is the more, yeah, Kunal is my older brother, and in Kunal, my older brother and me, my older brother is the more adventurous one. My older brother likes to take the risks. I've actually, in my whole life, been a very safe guy like that.
Walk us through that part of Rohan who was living life or preferring life of safety.
Here, so here's a crazy one. Safety in paragliding is a very big one. You know, no
Mm-hmm.
one wants to die.
Of course.
We want to have a good time while flying.
Mm-hmm.
So risk assessment is critical. And in paragliding, risk assessment involves studying the weather,
Mm-hmm.
studying the wind, understanding your ability, understanding your flight plan, where you want to go, how the wind is changing, how the weather is changing. Uh, Now, if I were to put this into my life before I learned paragliding,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually pretty bad at risk assessment. I thought I was good
Mm-hmm.
at the time, but now when I look back at that time pre beer, um, there were many things I did that I knew were going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I could have done the harder one a lot easily, patiently. Also, paragliding gave me a lot of patience. I had patience only in photography, but I feel like now I have patience in life. Uh, Paragliding, you have to wait for the right weather to take off. You know your skill level. Different people have different skill levels, so at the takeoff people are always taking off, but you should know your skill level when you want to take off, what your flight plan is. So you wait sometimes, and para waiting is a very good activity. Photography, uh, having terrariums, farming, you know, they are
So
all about patience. You
you
sow some seeds, and then a lot of time later, and with farming most of the times your seeds don't even do that well. You have to
mm.
really put in a lot of effort for very little.
So here you are, Rohan, in your early 30s, uh, having gone to the US, to the University of Connecticut, and studied economics there, and kind of left it because you didn't feel that's what who you are. You came back to India. You tried your hands at a lot of things. I know you did shoemaking, you did a couple of other businesses too, and success in the way people understand success never happened to you. Uh, was there any time in that phase of your life where either you yourself or there was a voice that was around you which says you are a failure? Because that
Oh
happens too,
yeah,
because that happens to many of us who try and fail, try
I
and fail, try and
that
fail,
was
and then this doubt
that was
comes up in the mind saying that I'm no good.
yeah, there was that was a big part.
Mm-hmm.
So I it's not that I felt like a failure as a businessman. I felt like a failure as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this was around the time I got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed honestly that if I don't like myself, I don't expect anyone else to like me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, there's no reason, it just is. It just happens. Yeah. It, I was a very happy guy. I was very social. Uh, it just happened that I one day woke up and I was like, what am I doing in life? And then when I tried to speak about it, it always went in some different tangent. Where then I questioned really what you are saying, whether am I good enough? Am I even worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then again, it just happened where I moved to Beer. Uh, I'll give you another one of these. It just happened.
Tell
Yeah.
me.
So I told you I moved to Beer. I built this house and this restaurant, and in 2019, and the first season where I was supposed to, have a big launch and everything, March 2020, there came a global lockdown, and I was
Yes.
like, oh my god, what have I done? I put all my savings and took a loan to make this place, and I have this lease for so much time, but honestly this lockdown doesn't seem like it's ever leaving only.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that was really not that rough, because I felt so blessed. I was so grateful to have that space, even though I was not making any money, and it seemed like it's a never ending process. But the Gujarati businessman in me told me, like, I got this tattoo on my hand that says patience, just to remind me, Rohan, have patience, you have this lease for 5 years. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, even if it is 6 months, it doesn't matter. 2 seasons also go, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with this thought process, somehow In September, our country started opening up in 2020, and yeah, my restaurant did very well. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, it became one of the loudest, noisiest places in Beer
Mm-hmm.
because, again, it just happens that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in December 2020, I got asked to leave the place that I had just built
Mm-hmm.
by the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in my life, I didn't want to fight it. You know, something in me said, oh, that's okay. If he doesn't want you to be here, uh, at least ask him to honor the agreement. And the agreement had to said that he has to pay me the amount that I invested.
Mm-hmm.
And again, somehow magically, beyond everyone else's wildest expectation at the time, the gentleman paid me what he and honored the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened within a span of less than 2 weeks, where I went from a 5,000 square feet piece of land to a 1.5 acre piece of land.
Mm-hmm. Which is where you are today.
And now which is where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
24th December, he asked me to leave. 29th December, I had already moved my personal belongings into my new property. 7th January, I had already made the payment for the year's rent. And how this happened, I can't explain it to you in words. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would have a property like this 5 years, 6 years down the line
Mm-hmm.
after, working at my own restaurant, saving some money, investing it in this way. But I think the universe, I really felt for for 33 years, the internal belief was like the universe is conspiring against me. And then magically, boom, 2020, I felt like the universe is conspiring for me. It is
Mm-hmm.
completely aligned, and I have completely aligned myself with God's plan for myself, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, again, this year it wasn't like this year was an easy year. I moved to this new property. It took me 2 months to set up, do the electrical work, the plumbing work, set a menu, get everything, set up a restaurant because it's a bigger property, set up the farm because I really have space for organic farming that I was learning.
Mm-hmm.
March 2021, I'm ready to go. Rollos Retreat, branding, everything done.
Mm-hmm.
April 2021, we go into lockdown again,
Yeah,
and the
I know.
second wave hits.
That was a bad
Yeah.
one. That was a bad one. Yeah.
And uh, March, April being May, June being the highest earning months of the year,
Mm-hmm.
we went into a lockdown again. And again, I was like, oh man, what am I doing? But this time it wasn't a what am I doing? This time it was I think I'm going to do this. And that I think I'm going to do this literally was something small, but it turned out to be very good for me. I didn't want to have Wi-Fi on the property,
Mm-hmm.
but I put Wi-Fi in April, and I had a lot of work from home people that really enjoyed living here
Mm-hmm.
and working in this peace and quiet. Uh, in fact, yeah, there is a there are quite a few inquiries as we speak for work from home from our property in these coming months, with all the craziness that is looming or not.
So, so you
But
said sorry to interrupt, but you said a little while ago here you were asked to leave the earlier piece of land which you had, and that was the only time you felt you don't want to fight. You just accepted it. So,
yeah,
is the Rohan Desai of today uh, at a stage where he's open to receive and accept what happens to him and not fight back? Is that where he is today?
uh, I wouldn't say 100%, but he's moving there.
Uh-huh.
He's definitely moving there.
Mm-hmm.
uh, there were so after moving here, as I said, para waiting, you have to wait to paraglide, and there's days where there's not good weather, so you just sit. And I had a lot of time to actually think of the things that I did wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and not repeat them, and how not to repeat them. And a big part of it about this really aggressive masculine side that I had, like overtly masculine, like
Mm-hmm.
that always tried to prove himself right, to try to prove himself.
Like
Um,
like a
I,
bull,
I I realized that I
like a bull in a china shop.
110%
Okay.
like a bull in a china shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So what has happened to the bull today?
somewhere oh, the bull got a pit bull, and the pit bull taught the bull that you don't, just because you look like a pit bull, and just because I look like a pit bull, and just because you look like a bull, doesn't mean we have to behave like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um, and my pit bull is one of the calmest guys. I mean, honestly, 2021 has been so blessed for me because people come to meet Rollo, and
yeah.
Rollo is an amazing dog,
Yes.
and I'm so blessed to have him in my life. He's a pit bull that doesn't need a leash. I have taken him paragliding, I've taken him trekking, he roams
He's
around freely.
has
He's
has your dog flown with you in the paraglide?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome, awesome,
He quite
awesome.
he quite enjoyed it actually. I have to buy another harness to
Okay.
take him for longer flights.
Yeah.
But I'll take him for a few longer flights this year for sure. I'll get
Awesome.
that harness this year.
Awesome. Rohan, to be
But
very
yeah,
honest, I would love to have this conversation going on and on. I mean, this is so wonderful, but, in the interest of time, we may have to, move to the closing stage of this conversation. And interestingly, you talked something that the bull in you met the real pit bull who taught you a lot of lessons in life. And what I hear is being receptive, being accepting, and you talked about gratitude a lot. Have you become kind to yourself? Is what the question I'm left with at this stage.
yes. Kinder to I mean, to be kinder to the world,
Mm-hmm,
you have to be kinder to yourself.
mm-hmm,
The experiences that we live are honestly reflections of what is going on inside.
mm-hmm,
And if you really spread love within you for yourself, for everything that is happening around you, if you just thank the sky every time you feel grateful, just look up at the sky and say, "Thank you, universe."
mm-hmm.
And little by little, you're just aligning yourself with this universe to feel something beyond words. Uh, it is something that simple. You can just say, "Thank you, universe," to the sky 6 times every day. Once before sunrise, once after sunrise, once during noon, once before sunset, once after sunset, once before you sleep. 6 times.
Awesome.
And you align yourself with a universe that honestly words will not be able to describe.
what an
You
what
will
an
feel it for yourself.
what an awesome thought, Rohan. I mean, this series of thank yous to the universe. I mean, all I can say at this stage of the conversation is thank you for having this conversation with us. And I'm sure our listeners would have enjoyed a lot of what you said, and in many ways resonated and connected with your story, because this life itself is something which, as they say, we are releasing this episode today on a Good Friday, and it's the advent of spring, where the earth has come alive after dark long winter. And I think in all mythologies, religious mythologies in the world, celebrate this time of winter, whether it is the Jewish Passover, or whether it is the Easter Sunday, celebrated by Christians world over, or the very Ram Navami that we have, and the month of Chaitra in the Hindu calendar. And even Islam celebrates the color green so much because of the advent of spring. And I think somehow I borrow your words that probably the universe has conspired to have you and I into this conversation today on the Wings podcast, and have this episode released on this beautiful day in the springtime. So thank you very much, Rohan, to be on the show. And as we end this conversation, if I could ask you very briefly, what are you feeling right now? And what is it that you would want to say yourself as we end this conversation?
Honestly, I feel blessed. I mean, you've thanked me multiple times, but I feel like I should say thank you for giving me this platform to say my story. Uh, for a while, I thought it was a rough story, but honestly, it was just getting me to where I am right now.
And
I'm
all,
looking at the sky, standing on my balcony,
yeah,
and it's a it's going to be a beautiful sunset. I'm waiting, excited for this sunset, just like everyone should be excited for the life they're living. Just be in
absolutely.
the now.
Thank you so much.
Now,
Thank you.
there is no better time than now.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rohan. And on behalf of all our listeners, all I can wish and pray for you is to be the person that you are and spread the joy and happiness that you are doing, not only to yourself, but to the world around you. And may you and Rollo, your beautiful young pitbull, have a great life together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy Easter.
Yes, happy Easter to you. Have fun.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you for your time today, my dear listeners. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri, signing off. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as a piece of any professional advice. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of its guest. Creators of this podcast expressly disclaim any and all liability or responsibility for any direct or indirect, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of this podcast. For feedback and suggestions, please write to wingsindia75 at gmail.com. Thank you.